Today is Thursday, January 13th. We'll explain why the Omicron variant of COVID-19 is now being compared to a flash flood and what big shift health experts expect over the next few weeks. Also, inflation is the highest it's been in 4 decades, what the White House and Federal Reserve had to say about the latest jump in prices. Plus, how the Army is trying to convince more new recruits to sign up, what's happening to NFL ratings, and the 2 new options coming to your Instagram feed. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. It's starting to look more and more like the Omicron variant of COVID-19 will fade away as quickly as it spread. For the first time since Christmas, the number of new COVID-19 cases in the U.S. went down instead of up. It wasn't a huge drop, but still, it's an encouraging sign. Most of the turnaround is happening in the Northeast, places like New York City, Boston, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia. Those big cities were early hotspots of the Omicron variant last month. So a drop in new infections there could mean we'll see a drop in other places soon. Signs of a turnaround are not just limited to reported cases either. Massachusetts has been tracking levels of COVID-19 by looking at wastewater. And the downturn seen in those samples is even more dramatic than the case counts. The New York City Health Commissioner explained it by saying Omicron is more like a flash flood than a wave. By that, he means it spreads at an enormously high rate, but it doesn't stick around for too long. Still, experts do point out that COVID-19 has shown time and time again that it's pretty unpredictable. So even though it looks like things are improving now, it is possible the situation could get worse again. By the way, the White House says it has a new plan to keep classrooms open, COVID or no COVID. It will start sending 10 million COVID-19 tests to schools around the country every month. It will be up to each state to decide which schools get priority, but all the tests will be free since the federal government has already paid for them. Most American schools are open for in-person classes now. About 20 million people are now confined to their homes in China. These are the broadest measures since the country shut down the Wuhan area in early 2020 at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. 2 years later, 3 cities ordered lockdowns again. The latest one did so after just 2 cases of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 were reported and no deaths. Government officials there defend those harsh measures, saying they're the main reason China has avoided the millions of infections seen in other countries. It's not clear how long these lockdowns will last, but the hope is they'll be over by next month when the Winter Olympics start. The games open on February 4th in Beijing. The last few nights, protesters in North Carolina have been demanding justice after another controversial shooting. A white sheriff's deputy shot and killed a black man in the city of Fayetteville last weekend. And some people now suspect race might have had something to do with it. The city's police chief has asked the FBI and the Department of Justice to launch a civil rights investigation. Deputy Jeffrey Hash was off duty when he shot Jason Walker in front of his home and then called 911. That 911 call was just released yesterday. In it, Deputy Hash tells the dispatcher he was driving when Walker jumped onto his moving truck and broke his windshield, so the deputy opened fire. But the local police chief says that story doesn't add up. She said investigators looked at the black box computer of the truck, and it did not record any impact with a person or thing. And the only injuries on Walker's body were from the gunshots. Now investigators are looking for witnesses, and Deputy Hash is on paid leave while the investigation is underway. His lawyer says he's devastated over the shooting, but she didn't say much beyond that. Walker's family hired a civil rights lawyer who says he's hopeful the investigation will be swift and transparent. To be continued. People in Louisiana are dealing with new health and safety concerns because of a massive oil spill last month. Documents were just released that show more than 300,000 gallons of diesel fuel were spilled just outside of New Orleans. It came from a ruptured pipeline that was in desperate need of repairs. Most of the fuel drained into ponds. Thousands of fish, birds, and other animals were killed, and soil was contaminated. The spill was first discovered on December 27th, but yesterday was the first time it was publicly reported. More than a year ago, an inspection found the section of the pipeline where the spill happened was corroded, but the line continued operating until the spill. So far, the company has not commented. The pipeline was finally repaired last Saturday. It's official now. 2021 was the worst year for inflation since 1982. A new federal report shows prices continued to go up all the way until the final days of December. We're talking about the prices of everything from rent to food to clothes to cars to furniture, basically anything people buy. And those prices are now 7% higher than they were this time last year. That's a far cry from the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. The Fed has said it'll start raising interest rates this year, though, which it thinks will help. President Biden spoke about the latest inflation report, saying he agrees that price increases are too high and they're squeezing family budgets. But he also pointed out that inflation is impacting nearly every nation right now as the global economy recovers from the pandemic. The issue basically goes back to a supply and demand problem. Now businesses are scrambling to hire workers and fill customer orders, so they're throwing money at the problem and passing those costs on to the rest of us. Most economists agree relief is coming, but how long it'll take for prices to come back down, it seems it's anyone's guess. More news still coming up, but first a message from our sponsor, Mama Zen. When I became a mom last year, there were suddenly so many new things to deal with, think about, research, and more. And I know that extra stress can take a toll on my own well-being. So I want to be proactive about it, and the Mama Zen app is a great, easy way to do that. It helps me deal with any extra impatience, anger, or anxiety that pops up, reminding me about the best way to react to situations involving my child and family with more calm, love, and patience. And it's just like listening to this podcast. You put in headphones and press play. I appreciate that they have sessions from just 2 to 18 minutes long because I know we're all busy. I really want you to try Mama Zen and see for yourself how much better you can feel as a mom. Go to your App Store or Google Play and download Mama Zen today. That's MAMAZEN. Mama Zen. Right now, you can use the promo code NEWS. That code will unlock your free 30-day trial so you can try Mama Zen for yourself. Mama and all parents, your mental and emotional well-being is the most important thing for you, your kids, and your family. So don't postpone it any longer. The Army is upping the ante to try and attract new recruits. It's now offering signing bonuses of up to $50,000 for some prospective soldiers. That's up from $40,000. A spokesperson for the Army says the pandemic and the current labor market challenges have made it hard to get people into Army ranks. He says people have been going for what they consider a more stable job route during the uncertainty of the pandemic, something that does not keep them away from home for long periods of time like the Army might. Or some people are taking what the Army called a gap year to try and figure out what life looks like post-pandemic. The numbers of new recruits dropped almost 10,000 from 2019 to 2021. The spokesman says schools being closed plays a big part because pre-pandemic, most of the recruiting was done there face-to-face. So the Army hopes more cash will entice young people to sign up. But not every recruit will get the full $50,000. The new package will be based on a few different things like the recruit's chosen career field, individual qualifications, how long they sign up for, and their ship-out date. Tributes are pouring in for the 60s icon and girl group leader Ronnie Spector. The Ronettes singer died yesterday after what her family said was a short battle with cancer. Fellow musicians and friends flooded social media after the news broke to honor her. The Ronettes were considered one of the premier acts of the girl group era. They even toured with the Rolling Stones, the only girl group to do that. You may remember some of the group's big hits like Baby I Love You, Walking in the Rain, and Be My Baby. Spector went on to have a long solo career after the group broke up in 1967. It was just 1 year later that she married Phil Spector, the record producer who ended up being sent to prison for killing an actress. Ronnie Spector famously spoke out against him and ended up remarrying and having 2 children. In 2007, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of the Ronettes. She was 78 years old. We're just 1 month out from the Super Bowl, which is typically the most watched event of the year. But already the NFL has its highest regular season ratings in 6 years. The 272 regular games average 17.1 million viewers each. That counts both TV and digital platforms. It's a 10% increase from 2020. The NFL was actually expecting its overall TV audience to go up after last year's season when there were empty stadiums causing a strange viewing experience. And the first half of the 2020 season was played in the middle of the presidential campaign, so a lot of people were watching cable news, not football. Dallas Cowboys fans, or maybe their haters, seem to help the statistics. The Cowboys were involved in 5 of the 10 most-watched games, including Thanksgiving Day when the Cowboys played the Las Vegas Raiders. Nearly 41 million people watched that matchup, making it the most-watched regular season game on any network in more than 30 years. You may soon have more control over your own Instagram feed. The head of Instagram says the platform is testing 3 options: home, favorites, and following. The home setting is what we're already used to. It's a feed Instagram's algorithm creates based on what it thinks will interest you. The new favorites feed will be just what it sounds like. The content will only be from the accounts you've marked as your favorites. And finally, a following feed will bring back what many users have been asking for, a chronological stream of posts from everyone you follow, showing you the most recent to the oldest. Some users have already seen the new options in their Instagram app, and the head of Instagram says he hopes to roll out the full experience for everyone in the first half of this year. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. And today we're talking about counterfeit COVID-19 tests, how to spot them and avoid them. But first, a quick break for our sponsor. I've definitely turned to online shopping more these days, but it can sometimes feel daunting. I never know if things will fit, returns can be difficult, and sometimes I don't even know where I want to shop anymore. So this year, let Stitch Fix do all the hard work for you. Stitch Fix Freestyle has clothes for any occasion. Styles for workouts to workwear, for lounging around the house, which yes, I still do a lot, or for a night out on the town. I went too long without feeling excited about anything in my closet, so I'm ready to spruce up my wardrobe again, and Stitch Fix is the perfect place to look. Because I've taken the style quiz, it's kind of like a shop built just for me, and I appreciate that they even put some outfits together so it helps me know what goes with what. And with Stitch Fix Freestyle, there's no subscription required. I browse and get only exactly what I want. Plus, they offer free shipping, returns, and exchanges. So get started today by filling out your style quiz at stitchfix.com/newsworthy. That's stitchfix.com/newsworthy to try Stitch Fix Freestyle. stitchfix.com/newsworthy. Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. As we've told you, the at-home COVID-19 tests are in short supply around the U.S. And now, unfortunately, scammers are taking advantage. Federal officials are now warning about counterfeit testing kits popping up online. But there are some ways to tell the difference between the real ones and the fake ones. The Federal Trade Commission suggests, first off, only buy tests authorized by the FDA. The FDA website has a list of more than 40 at-home tests that are authorized, and you can get those online or at pharmacies. The site also has a list of fakes, so you can make sure the one you're about to buy or the person selling it to you is not on that list. Next, the FTC says check the reviews of the seller and the kit and compare it with the others before you buy. Some may have credible reviews from medical experts or health organizations that can help you decide if it's safe. The FTC also suggests searching online for the seller of the at-home kit, along with words like scam or review to catch the scammers. The agency also reminds you to check the kit you're about to buy has not expired. And finally, if you do end up with a fake test or fake anything really, report it. We posted a link to the government website where you can explain what happened and figure out what to do next. You'll find that link at the bottom of today's episode notes. All right, thank you so much for listening today and sharing the show. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.